Your next stop is hell. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
Hello.
What?
I said hello, but like
Loving an
hell.
elevator.
Oh my God. I
Something
have to
in
be totally honest with you
sconning it
guys.
up when you're going down.
I am familiar with that song, but until this movie, I did not know those were the words.
I mostly only know it from this movie.
I hope all of Aerosmith is dead.
They're not, but
They're just hanging out in an elevator.
All jerking each other off.
Well, yeah,
gross.
that's what elevators are for.
Ew.
And next time a button gets stuck, you know why.
Ew.
What do you
You,
think?
your content has just been way too much baby batter talk, and I
What-
don't like it.
What do you think all that goo was that was growing out of the
Like-
elevator thing in this movie?
I saw it. Okay.
Welcome to episode 130 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Dongwater.
I'm Jizz.
Just a no.
That's baby gravy.
Oh, let's get off the rails very quickly.
How about wacky shellacky?
What? Podcast over.
Well, that was pretty clever if you think about it.
I'm not going to. This week we watched
Get shafted.
2001's Down, also known as The Shaft, also known as the remake of The Lift, directed by the same director.
Yeah, what was the point of that?
I don't know, but that's fucking seems like a good deal if you can get it. Just
Yeah.
make the same movie twice and
Make the same movie twice to get paid.
make
I mean,
one worse.
under the plot keywords for remake by original director, there's like a pretty good amount.
Yeah, it happens periodically where America just hires some director to remake their better version of a movie. Why is Heat on here?
Better question mark?
I mean, have you seen The Lift?
No, I haven't.
And I won't because it doesn't have Michael Ironside.
Yeah, but it also doesn't have this fake James Marsden dude in it.
Listen, wow. Did we say this was from 2001?
I don't know.
Okay,
This is the most
Damn.
2001 movie that has ever
It
existed.
is painfully early 2000s movie. It's
I can't-
painful.
I can't believe it's 20 years old.
Yep. It just seems like it came out yesterday
It does.
with the sick rollerblading.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to get
Naomi
to that
Watts
part.
still existing.
Okay, for the record, I normally love Naomi Watts. Didn't really love her in this movie.
She's
I don't-
fine in this.
I don't know if it's just like the part that she was playing that made her act the way that she did, but
She seemed extremely subdued compared to everyone else doing the most outrageous New York accent I've ever heard in my life.
okay, but she does it sometimes. She like can't keep it together long enough. I don't know if it's like I don't know if she's faking it sometimes, like when she is like talking, who's your favorite newspaper? And then she's like, you embarrassed me. And I'm like, what's going on with your voice? Like, she just like slipped in and out of it and not in a good way. Like, I didn't know what was going on.
I think
It feels insane to me that she was in this and Mulholland Drive in the same year.
I think my favorite actor in this entire movie is the construction crew guy that like punches the main actor in the diner because his accent is just out of control.
Yeah.
She was she was in Babe Pig in the City a little bit before this came out.
What a role.
Yeah.
Thank you, Naomi Watts.
King Kong, the official game of the movie that came out before King Kong.
That game kicked ass. Way better than the movie.
I assume you get to punch a lot of things like a dinosaur.
Yes. You murder so many tyrannosaurs.
Oh shit, she was a Tank Girl. And Children of the Corn of the Gathering.
And Matinee.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen Matinee in a long time.
Yeah, neither have I.
I feel like it probably does not hold up.
It has to hold up, right? It's got
John Goodman.
I just totally blanked on his name.
John Goodman?
Not Roseanne.
Just keep saying John Goodman.
Yeah, John Goodman. There you go.
I mean, technically, John Goodman is not Roseanne.
She's got a movie coming out called Once Upon a Time in Staten Island.
Oh, perfect.
God.
Can't wait for her to bring back her accent from this movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna try, if I remember, to find a clip of anybody in this movie talking, because it's insane. Like, Ron Perlman's like the only one. He just sounds like Ron Perlman, and everyone else is just like doing Katie's Newsy voice the whole movie.
Like, it's essentially, yeah, but nobody can like keep their accent for the whole scene, so it's like they just like forget, and then they're like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be from New York.
I just remember that Michael Ironside's last name is Steinberg in this movie.
He's supposed to be German. Like, what?
Yeah,
He doesn't even try. He's just like,
no.
Michael Ironside.
Whenever he showed up and they're like, Gunther Steinberg, I was like, huh? He's okay, sure.
Oh, I like this movie a little better now. So this
Like, that's the only quote on the IMDb page. Like, the very first thing you see is, I'll pee on them.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. This movie is... This might
Incredible.
somehow be the
Best.
culmination of the 2000s in 2001.
I think so.
So this was directed and written by the best name, Dick Moss.
Why live Moss when you could Dick Moss?
Yeah.
That's great.
Starring James Marshall, Naomi Watts, Michael Ironside, Ron Perlman, and then a bunch of other people.
Dan Hedaya?
Yeah.
I was like
Edward Herman.
So when Kit picked this, like, I saw like the poster or whatever for it, and I saw like Naomi Watts, and for some reason I thought James Marsden was in it, not James Marshall. And I was like, oh hell yeah, Cyclops is gonna be in this movie. And then like the entire time I was like, wait,
Where is he?
I was like, what's happening? Who's this guy? And then like the guy he works with kind of looks like a low rent James Marsden.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I got like real mad. Oh, James Marshall was in Soccer Dog the movie,
I
and
have to
Air
say-
Bud Golden Receiver.
Oh my god.
Twin Peaks.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, but
I have to
Air Bud.
say, I like him a lot better in this movie than I liked him in Twin Peaks, which is quite the surprise for me.
I've never seen an episode of Twin Peaks.
That you would, and
I don't know. I just didn't see. It doesn't seem like I like David Lynch a lot, but I don't know, for whatever reason, like the show passed me by, and then I was just kind of like, I don't think I need to watch this. I've seen enough like episodes of The Simpsons where they mock it that I feel like I got the gist. I'm good. Same with like The
That checks
Godfather
out.
and shit.
oh my gosh.
That's the most Nathan sentence
Yeah, I
you
think
could
so.
ever imagine.
Well, it's like it I don't know. It's if it was like a movie as opposed to like a series and movie, like I feel like I would watch 3 movies as opposed to, you know, 80 hours of fucking content watching the series.
Just do what I did and only watch the first season and then watch Firewalk with me.
And then the reboot.
It's really good and you're still confused.
The thing is, like, I think I'm going to be confused
with
regardless, so.
I don't really think season 2 is necessary, but...
I want to watch the new one where it seems ultra confusing.
It just gets more and more confusing as it goes on, as more
Just for no
information is
reason.
given to you. Like, exactly.
Yeah, the more David Lynch explains what's happening, it just makes less sense.
Like, in
That's
reality, he's just like throwing darts at a phone book and it's like, aha, this is what happens next. And it's like not even something that he comprehends.
Holy shit, this movie came out before 9/11.
Oh.
And mentions Osama bin Laden and a terrorist attack at a fucking tower.
Yeah.
Woof. Oh wait.
That makes a lot more sense to me because like
I like the
towards
the real quick, the budget $15 million, cumulative worldwide gross $535,000.
Oh.
Damn. This came out in theaters?
It
I
did.
just assumed it was straight to sci-fi.
Apparently, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand like how the release date was in May, and it got taken down by 9/11 like 4 months later. But unless it's having like the release date is it premiered at like a fest somewhere first, like movies do now. But,
Elevator Fest.
Yeah. So my dad is an elevator repairman.
Wow.
And it was like my whole life, so I've ridden on top of elevators and shit.
That sounds so horrifying.
That sounds, yeah.
Extremely cool when you're a kid, and now that I think about it, I'm like, this is
That was probably a bad idea.
terrifying.
Ever since I saw Mission Impossible, I was like, that's the worst thing that could ever happen to a person, is be on top of an elevator.
I don't know what happens in that. I saw Mission Impossible when it came out, and that was it.
Jean Reno gets squished.
Oh. Well, the good news is, unless it's a possessed elevator that flies out of the top of a building, there's a whole lot of room before, or between, like, the height of the elevator and how far it'll go, or, like, the ceiling or whatever. So that can't happen. At least, I'm going to keep telling myself that.
Well, I don't know what year that I've actually been to the Millennium Building and like rented those elevators to the observation deck.
You came so close to death.
I did.
You didn't even know.
I did, and it was definitely like a couple years after this movie came out. So I'm really glad I never saw it because I would have been like, well, I'll just wait down here and you go and ride on the elevator for 20 years.
You could ride or take the stairs.
Oh, I'm sure I would.
Can we talk about how this movie is number 37 under Killed by an Elevator tag? Killed in an Elevator.
What? The elevator specific film?
Yeah, number 1 is Suicide Squad.
What?
Somehow both versions of Old Boy are above it. You know what's right above this movie though? See No Evil with Kane.
Terrible film.
The top movie for Elevator is Captain Marvel.
Really?
Okay.
What is happening here?
I don't know.
I wonder what the top for skating is. It better be Gleaming the Cube. Fantastic Beasts. Fuck this. This website's dead to me.
See what female reporter has going on. The Stand from '94. Excuse me? People must be revisiting The Stand since the fucking new series started. The Mask all the way down at 19. What the fuck? Oh, Giving Birth in an Elevator. Oh, The Shaft is number 1.
Alright.
Hell yeah.
Somehow the episode of Saved by the Bell where Zach Morris has to deliver Mrs. Belding's baby in an elevator isn't on air.
What a crime.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Oh, I just saw Dog and I got real sad.
I am so angry about that. I literally wrote in the margin, I'm so mad at Kit.
I completely forgot about that part.
I was like, surely.
It
Let's.
it was pretty funny until later they show the dog hanging there.
Yeah, that's
and then it's
not...
like, oh man, come on.
Well, I didn't think it was funny. It was like yelping and stuff.
It was kind of funny whenever it like slid and it was just like cartoonishly like whoop.
Okay.
If it had made like a boy oing sound, you would have laughed.
Probably.
This movie
want
would
to
be
point...
so much better if it just made it like slapstick noises throughout the whole thing.
Looney Tune sounds.
Yeah.
I agree with that because this movie was an hour. This movie was 2 hours long for literally no reason. There was so much shit in this that did not need to be. Like every single time they introduced us to a new person that was going to be killed by the elevator, I was like, Jesus Christ. We're 20
Every
minutes
scene.
in and 12 new people are dead. Like, can we just get to
To
it?
be fair, a lot of the deaths are pretty cool though.
Well, okay, but they should have just done that and cut out every single time. Wait, what's his name in the movie?
Cyclops.
Mark and Naomi Watts' character are just like ribbing each other or like doing their whatever. I'm like, how many times? Like, oh my God, there just was like so much unnecessary stuff. This was not. I didn't enjoy this movie.
I did not assume you did. I mean, I didn't hate it. It's just like I definitely, it was longer than it needed to be, but like it was totally watchable in that like kind of bad horror remake 2000s era movie.
Mm,
Katie, I'm gonna make you
well,
watch this until you love it.
I don't think so.
We should do The Shaft once a month.
There's no way. Action horror mystery. I don't. It's not really.
I mean, there's a
Maybe
mystery
we should do
going
it
on.
twice a month.
Okay, let's get into
Just-
this mystery because what ends up turning out as to why this elevator is killing people was just very
Logical and
sure.
perfectly makes sense.
Fucking rules. Okay, if Small Soldiers can do it, so can The Shaft.
It's so
Listen,
funny
don't
that like
just Small Soldiers is amazing.
it's some
Yeah,
shit.
just like The Shaft.
Like the reasoning behind what the elevator is doing rules because it's some shit that scientists are probably been working on for years and trying to figure out. So like it's probably based in real life.
Every government elevator
Yeah.
operates like this.
Oh my God. Well, okay, so this movie is also just like ridiculous because I wasn't really expecting for it to start with like full frontal nudity. I was like, okay, you like it starts off with just like the New York skyline, and there's these at the Millennium Building, which I guess if you don't know what that is, just Google it. It's like a really tall building that has an observation deck, but it also has businesses in it. How tall was it? It was like 100 stories or something.
I mean like
At least.
the highest I saw I think was like 92.
Yeah, so
Something
it's
like
really
that.
tall to the point where like the atmosphere changes when you're going up the elevator or some shit, which I, again, in hindsight, don't know how someone talked me into going on this. So it's just like these guards, and they're using one of the like binocular things to like spy on some dude that's like with these ladies and stuff. And
I forgot all about this by the time this movie ended.
yeah. So basically, the whole point of it is that it's storming and I don't know, lightning strikes the building, and apparently it happens a lot because it's so tall, which, okay, fine. Then there's like some weirdness where one of the guards like goes to pee and the other one's like trying to hold the doors open for him so they can like go down, and the doors like won't stay shut and then eventually slam abruptly and crush his flashlight, which is pretty alarming. And then we're introduced to like one of our main characters named Jeff, who pulls up and honks for somebody. And he works for
So bad.
Meteor elevators, and he's trying to pick up his friend Mark. And Mark is not inside his house because he is sleeping in his car and can't find his keys, but his keys are on the ground or something. I did not know what was going on here. And then he's like, okay, get ready for work. We gotta go. And he says, I'll be faster than lightning on steroids. And I was like, all right.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah. So they're mechanics, and they are going to, mechanic. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of pregos who were working out in the building, the Millennium Building. Whenever we say building now, we're just talking about the Millennium Building. They get in the elevator, but the elevator is like going really fast, and then it stops abruptly, and they're all like, "Oh, my baby," because they're like falling and stuff. And it's one of the guards from the beginning. His wife is in there, and I don't know, they're freaking out because it's getting hot in the elevator. A bunch of them are just dropping babies left and right, giving births. The doors are
elevator had to
stuck.
smell so bad when it opened.
Oh my god, I know.
Oh,
Especially
God.
because they were also doing like Lamaze and stuff, so they were already like sweaty. So the repair people like show up. They can't, or the mechanics or whatever, show up and they can't get the doors open, and they're like using the jaws of life and shit, and it's not working. And the security guard like shows up with an axe and is like, I'll fight you. And I'm like, this is so unnecessary. So eventually they turn off the power to the elevator so that they can try and like open the doors or whatever. But then the elevator just starts working by itself. I have to say this was a pretty good, so basically the elevator with all the pregos opens, and it like pretends like it's showing the inside of the elevator, but it like hard cuts to like a bunch of ham on a griddle sizzling, and I
Yeah,
was
like
like,
eggs
okay,
and shit.
that was pretty good. um Very gross. So basically, I don't know, Mark gets into a fight with some guy who's like verbally abusing a waitress or some shit, and he's like, I could take you, but then he gets punched out immediately, and they get called to the building. So Jennifer, who is Naomi Watts, is a reporter, I guess, and also gets sent to the building to report on the pregos in the elevator instead of some women's rights
Yeah, she
thing
was
she's
writing an
doing.
article about women getting the right to vote however many years prior.
Necessary, I guess. So Jeff and Mark go to the service room, and for some reason, like the guy who works at the Millennium Building that's showing it to them brings up the fact that Jeff's partner died by they think he died by suicide, and Jeff gets like really pissed off whenever the guy's like, well, maybe it's messed up because the lightning struck the building, and he's like, no, fuck you, no one tells me what to do, and he like yells at him, and I was like, what is going on here? He's just so aggressive. Then they work on the elevator. Mark does that thing where the elevator is like stuck between floors, and he like reaches down there to get his jacket, and you're like, oh my god, it's gonna cut him in half, but it doesn't. He's fine.
Sad.
Should have
This
happened.
part makes me so mad. So this blind guy gets his hair done for his anniversary, and the lady who does it, first of all, has dyed his hair green, which I was like, why is she doing that? That seems fucked up. But it turns out that he's super gross, and he like feels her up for some reason. And then she's like, okay, asshole, which she is. And he's got a really cute lab that is his seeing eye dog. And essentially, like, he gets in the elevator, and the elevator takes him way, way up to a floor. He's trying to go down to the lobby. It takes him up to this floor that's like being renovated. So he gets off because the elevator's not working, and he's like, I'll take another one. Then the doors open to just like an empty shaft, which obviously he can't see, but the dog barks and the echo is so loud. I'm like, how could you not realize that it's just like an empty shaft? I don't know. And so essentially he just falls down it and unfortunately takes the dog with him, which made me very mad.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't have been as bad if it didn't have like the sound effects. of like
And the
the dog
subtitles,
like
it was
hit
like
something and
yelping,
yelps.
yelping.
I think if
Yeah,
it just
it's
like
so
fell
sad.
down and like didn't make any noise, it wouldn't have been as bad.
I was mad because like there's this part where he's like hanging, basically the dog pulling backwards is the only thing that's like keeping him from falling, and I was like, you fucking asshole, let go of the dog. Like the dog cannot pull you up at that point. Whatever.
I was really expecting the dog to like help pull him up and have him get like
Yeah.
cut in half or
That,
something. So
If it had made that like whistling like splat,
just
that would have been
explosion.
kind of funny. Or just a whole explosion. The dog was a
Apparently,
bomb.
apparently this movie was released overseas before the U.S. and it came out like days before 9/11.
ooh.
And then it didn't, like, I guess it just got pulled out of theaters and didn't even get like a North American DVD release for 2 years after.
I mean,
Like
yeah.
I feel like this movie probably would have done relatively well if it was able to play in theaters and stuff.
Well, the thing is that like it makes a lot more sense. I didn't even think about the timeline when this came out because like towards the end when they're just like the elevator's killing people, they're like, ah, it must be terrorists. And I was like, why the fuck do the police just think it's terrorists? That's so weird. And then I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense to me. But the movie is like not even about that. So I don't know if they just thought people wouldn't go see a movie set in New York because of that or like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird that all of this shit is in it, and it came, like was made before 9/11.
Yeah. So essentially, it continues to be sad because the guards go to like inspect the elevator because the elevator has now started moving by itself and the doors open to an empty shaft and literally we see the dog and it's bad. So while the guy is like looking into the elevator shaft, which also I would just never ever in my whole life do. There's just no way I would peer into an elevator shaft. But the doors of the elevator, like the elevator's not there, but the door's shut on his face, and essentially, uh, the other guard is like, oh, trying to like pull him out, but the grip is so tight that he like rips the guy's clothes off, which I thought was weird. But the elevator basically just very slowly comes down until eventually the guy's decapitated,
The
and
rules.
his friend guard just like immediately starts vomiting, which is correct.
There were like numerous things that happened in this movie that I expected it to be like that thing where like right before you see anything it like
Cuts
cuts
away.
away and then it just shows this dude's head pop off. And I was
And
very into it.
to be fair, to be totally fair to this movie, it actually did not look terrible. Like it was pretty fine. Um, so then we switched to basically like this lieutenant giving really scary elevator facts to like the manager of the building who is like really concerned about them not closing down the elevator because they need money. Meanwhile, I don't know. I'm just gonna skip the scene because it was really stupid, and it
I'm fine with it because I don't even remember what it was.
Same.
okay. So
Unless it has a biochip, I don't care.
no, it
Or
doesn't.
rollerblades.
No, it doesn't. So then basically, like Mark and Jeff go up um to the office, and Jeff is like, haha, yes, the elevator is totally fine, and Mark is like, well, I don't know about that, and they basically just like argue about it, and then this part is baffling because in the beginning of the movie, Mark is sort of complaining about how being an elevator repairman is boring. And so at this point, he accuses Jeff of setting up the elevator situations because he said it was boring. And I was like, I'm sorry. You think that Jeff is rigging the elevator to murder people because he wants to make your job more thrilling? Like, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. We get a scene of Ron Perlman basically just yelling at Mark because he is in the paper, even though when he talked to Jennifer, he like sort of didn't really say anything. He made some joke about how 9 out of 10 people. Wait.
If
9 out of
10
10
people get in an
people.
elevator, only 9 will get out, basically,
Right. Yeah. And he said it
which
was a
is a
joke,
fact.
but she like printed it or whatever, and now like he's not only is he in trouble with the company, but the police are interested in him with like connection to the elevator bill, and I'm like, what in the it makes no sense, but fine. So now we get to the roller skaters. And I just wanted
Hell
to
yeah.
point out that one of them is wearing the same red parachute pants that I owned
That
at the
checks
same
out.
time because I was a freshman in 2001. So here we go.
Yeah, it's some weird days at college.
What?
These things
Yeah,
happen.
freshman in college, right?
No.
I'm just picturing you as a freshman in college in those pants.
Still wearing them?
Yeah.
No. I probably would have if I still fit in them, but um so basically there's these two rollerbladers, and I was like really confused as to what, because there's like this scene that I didn't write down because there just was so much in this movie where like Mark gets reassigned to somebody else, and then they have like a small conversation about Steinberg, who is like the guy who makes the equipment for the elevator. And then the guy's like, "Come on, we gotta go. We're going to Harlem or whatever." And then it hard cuts to like these two guys roller skating, and I was like, "Is that them?" It's just so confusing.
Yeah, that's how they get to their job sites.
That's right. So there's two roller skaters just like jamming down the street. They're like jumping over cars and like flipping, like they're just doing all kinds of shit. And they go into the parking garage of the building, and one of them like gets hit by a car sort of or something and like rolls around, and the other guy just like doesn't notice and goes out front to wait for him. And
Just keep shredding.
you have to. And all of a sudden like the guy's laying there like, ow, I got hit by a car. And all of the cars that are parked around him, the lights start flashing and the windshield wipers start going, and the elevator opens and just like sucks the guy in with a beam of light or something. And I was like, because up until now there's like nothing about this that makes you think it's supernatural or in any way. It's just like the elevator being weird, right? And all of a sudden there's like a beam of light, and then the doors open on the observation deck, which is on the top floor, and literally launches this guy through the protective barrier glass, and he falls and splats all over the ground in front of his friend.
So dumb.
Amazing. Cinema.
Oh, that was something.
I'm fully on board with everything that happened in this scene because it's so like out of place in the rest of the movie, but also kind of not.
I feel like, yeah.
I
feel
was
like
not expecting some extreme sports action to happen in this movie about an elevator.
No, I
You
wasn't
did have
either.
it. It was 2001.
Yeah,
Right.
fair.
Maybe if they opened with it, I would have been caught. This next scene is really long, and the only reason I'm going to bring it up is because there is a lady who is in charge of the daycare center at the building, and she is very verbally abusive to the children and calls them little bastards, and also says she's going to burn their beds down. And I was like, holy shit.
Well, this movie or this scene is also like I think pretty popular from the original movie because it's like what the poster and artwork for the original movie is from.
Yeah, the little girl.
Yeah.
So like essentially this little girl has like wandered out, and she just like runs back and forth playing with the elevator, and she's fine. Her dog gets smashed, and that's it. And we can move on. This is where I have a note about Jennifer's clothing in this movie, because she is wearing the most 2000, like early 2000s outfit I can think of. She's wearing a pink pleather jacket with pink pants and a t-shirt that has a pink like lipstick kiss on it. And I was like, wow, this is fucking terrible. Why was this okay for us early 2000s?
I'm mad it's not a thing now.
I mean, it's kind of, no, this is not a look. This is not a look, Naomi. So essentially she goes to And I kept wanting to call him James, so sometimes I wrote Jay, and his name is definitely Mark in the movie. So she goes to Mark's apartment and essentially is just like, hey, I have this videotape to show you. And then Samara comes out and kills him. The end.
Yep.
That was it.
I mean, hell of a twist. So
This
essentially
movie
the
just
tape.
turned into like a prequel to The Ring with Naomi Watts.
Could you imagine? So eventually, okay, so essentially what she's done is like taken a bunch of the surveillance of the rollerblader who was killed and spliced it together so that we can see like him getting sucked in by the elevator and then getting sucked out. And essentially it's just like time is crazy because it took him like a second to get launched out, even though it would take you like 30 minutes to ride up the elevator or whatever. So Mark is like, oh no.
I'm gonna send you guys one of the movie posters for this movie, and I'm very mad that it didn't get used.
Oh my gosh. So essentially they go to try and see Jeff about this weird tape thing, and he freaks out on them and leaves. Then they go to her office to research Steinberg. And apparently he used to work for a company who made missiles for the government or something. And also he developed this biochip that was made from, I don't know if this was real, but I wrote dolphin brains.
Oh, it's
And
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
there's no way something like that hasn't happened before.
Yeah. So it was like a chip that they can put into stuff that would like, I don't know, be it's a biochip. And like apparently the computer, I don't know, developed a mind of its own and could like multiply the chip or something to become like a living thing. Oh, I don't know. I don't understand science, so sure.
Just trust me, it makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it works.
All of it checks out.
All right.
It just
So
Good
then
science corner.
gets gooey
yeah,
for some
bring it
reason.
back. I mean, it's bio, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
if
the
you're
dome
made out
didn't
of
get
bio.
gooey, so
Okay, but the dome was still plastic or whatever.
I assume the dome was the same technology.
Things inside of it got gooey. That's for sure. So then the manager is riding in the elevator and he's like standing there and there's like goopy stuff dripping on him. He's like, that's weird because like the hatch to the elevator is open and Jeff's dead body just falls through it. He's like, ah. So then there's a press conference about the death and
Well,
like
did we mention that like Jeff had been acting weird and like they'd gone to like talk to him and all that stuff, and
yes.
his like fiance was just like, I don't know what's going on, he's been all like on edge, and
I said he freaks out.
yeah,
So.
I don't know, and like I'm just saying, like, you know, there wasn't
He's
like
been like extremely aggressive since they showed up. Like,
I guess because it comes in a little bit with like the explanation as to what's going on, like that he's kind of unwillingly part of it in a way
We'll
that's
see
not
when we get there,
totally
'cause
explained.
I was gonna say I don't understand this, but maybe you guys can explain it a little bit more.
The explanation is
Essentially-
2001.
Okay. I mean, sure. So they basically like hold a press conference about his death, and they are trying to say that essentially he was just crazy, and also he was trying to extort the company for some reason, and so then he just killed himself. And sure, I don't know why anyone would believe that, but that's fine. So Jeff's wife. So they like go to talk to Jeff's wife about like what the hell happened. And she says, I don't know, he was like weird, acting weird, and then some German guy called him and he left and didn't tell me where he was going. So they're like, oh, German guy. Also, we find out that his partner who died by suicide, they said that he was found in a car having shot himself, I guess, but that's not true. He actually died in the same way on the elevator, and they're like, oh my god. So Then for some reason they go to break into the dead partner's house apartment. I don't know why. His wife is there and she's like speaking in tongues and shit. I don't know what's going on with that. But there we go. So now, whew, okay. So basically now we're in the elevator again and there's like a whole group of people, including a child, and they're in there and the elevator just starts going crazy. And then the floor just falls out the bottom, which was not a fear of mine before, but it certainly is now. And like essentially everybody either falls to their death, or if they don't, it doesn't matter because the elevator shoots up and busts through the roof of the building.
Oh,
Like
rules.
literally comes
Brilliant.
out the stone top of the building. So there's that.
I like that, like the whole way after the floor goes, like the mom is like trying to hold on to like the kid and lets go like right before they slam into the fucking top, and you get to see, you like actually see the kid like hit a beam on
Hit
the
a
way
bunch of
down.
stuff. Yeah. I think the slamming through the top would have been a much better way to go, because I assume that's instant versus, falling down 90 floors of an elevator shaft. Um, Now Ron Perlman is arguing with Steinberg, and like we still don't really know what's going on, but he's basically like, I'm calling off the project. You have to kill this monster. And Steinberg's like, no, my life's work. Wah.
This absolutely terrible German accent.
Mark and Jennifer, I don't know who go to the Millennium Building. I wrote MB. I was like, who's MB? And there are basically at this point, they're like, okay, this has to be something. So the entire building is shut down. There's like cops and military stuff, and they try and sneak in by pretending that she just keeps saying the elevator company, and I'm like, maybe they would have believed you more if you like knew the name of the company. But she
Work for
pulls up.
Elevators Are Us.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially, yeah, exactly. So she pulls up and she's like, hey, I got some stuff. I gotta deliver some stuff for the elevator. And they're like, okay, well, what is it? And she's like, elevator stuff. So they like get through the first checkpoint, but then during the second checkpoint, they're like, okay, we want to check him back, which is where Mark is hiding. So she gets out and she's like trying to figure out what key opens the back. Meanwhile, her IT friend, who knows all about computers, calls, and basically he was doing some research about the biochip, and he's like, hey, guess what? They are still experimenting with this biochip, even though he doesn't work for the government anymore or whatever. And then he's just like, but they aren't using dolphins anymore. And she's like,
Oh my god.
no way. And then she is arrested, essentially. Meanwhile, Mark is sneaking in to the building by just white knuckling the bottom side of an NYPD truck. He's so strong.
This two of the trivia things on this are like, speaking of The Shaft, the producers of this movie have never fulfilled their obligation to pay residual compensation to the American director team. The Shaft producers have never fulfilled their obligation to pay SAG residuals to the American principal actors or stunt performers. Granted, they get foreign royalties, which are very low and few and far between.
Jesus.
They're essentially just like, you don't want us to send you this 10 cents, right? It's fine. Okay.
The like just made like $18 from us or some shit, so
I know. Fuck them.
you're so mad.
I am. So Mark sneaks in, then he rides on top of the elevator, notices that the military has explosive. So there's just like this whole scene of him like sneaking around, and the police are like, what is that? And they're all pissed off because they think it's a terrorist. And that's why at this point I was like, why did they just jump to terrorists? But that totally makes sense now in hindsight. This is when Mark finds the goop in there. And there's also some weird scare where like he goes to reach for himself, but they make it seem like a hand's gonna grab him, and I was like, what? Okay. Okay. So then Mark also finds a cabinet in the mine shaft, in the mine shaft, in the elevator shaft, and there's like a big, gross bio heart thing.
The membrane.
Yeah, it is a membrane, actually. I guess. Well, yeah. Also, there's fans behind
some kind
it.
of meaty sack.
There's like tubes and there's like goop everywhere. It's pretty goopy in there. And then meanwhile, the elevator cart that has, busted through the roof, like comes back to life and it's like electrocuting and the cops are like, let's get the fuck out of here. And it's like gets itself back into the shaft and it's gonna like come down and get him. Mark starts stabbing the membrane. Then the cart catches on fire and is like hurtling down the shaft. And Mark manages to jump out of the way, but there is a police officer that gets cut in half, so that's pretty cool. Mark is like flopping around in the shaft, essentially. I don't really know another way to describe that. He's like jumping here and there's shit falling and he's like Spider-Man in there,
Spider-Man wouldn't have got hit by an elevator though.
I mean, well, he would have been really helpful because remember that elevator when he was in DC and he like saved those people
in the fucking Washington Monument or whatever it was.
The Pineal Monument,
as they used to say in the 90s, the Bill Clinton Monument.
Yes. So then we find out that Mark has stolen a Stinger, which is a rocket launcher. Question mark? Looks like a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
So, okay. So he goes to shoot the heart, but then Steinberg shows up and is like, no, and they fight a bunch. And
real quick, back to the thing of him, like when like the elevator's coming near him and he's getting like flopped around. The scene where like his leg gets caught in like I guess like like one of the wires or whatever
underneath it, yeah,
like that would have ripped his leg off, and he just climbs back out of the elevator like totally fine, walking fine.
I know. Anytime I see anything in movies now like that, they do this in like fucking James Bond all the time where they're like, I don't know why so many of these take place at ski resorts, but anytime they have to like slide down the cables of a lift cart or whatever, I'm like, I've seen Frozen. I know that that's not possible.
Oh yeah, those things would have tore his hands up when he's climbing
so
up
anytime I see something like that with like similar type cable tree, I'm like, no way.
Call bullshit on you, Dick Moss.
Yeah.
You're not living Moss over here.
More like Dick Less.
Burn.
Got his ass.
That's what you get for making this movie.
I'm gonna look him up, and it's gonna be like, Dick Moss died trying to climb an elevator shaft.
Well, he deserved it then.
No
one should be doing that shit. Okay, so Steinberg and Mark are fighting, and I guess he like almost gets him. Maybe he almost kicks him down the shaft. I'm not sure, but then Jennifer shows up and is like, "Don't move, motherfucker!"
Yeah, he's like trying to kick him into the open shaft or whatever.
She's got her like crazy white woman on a bender face going on. She's so popular for. And he's like, "You're not going to shoot me, haha." And she's like, "I will." And then she shoots the wall and she's like, "I'm serious." And he's like, "Oh shit." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So then like the police show up because they realize that Steinberg's there, and like the police officer like knows who Steinberg is for some reason.
Well,
he's an
FBI
oh shit
agent, not like
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, FBI, and he's like, "Oh shit, gotta get up there." So they run up there, and then one of the police officers says, "Don't move, get on your face now." I was like, "Get on your face?" Like, I know they want him to drop down to the ground, but I've never heard someone say, "Get on your face." So then, some cords from the elevator shaft come out, and grab Steinberg, and like just like suck him in. And then also wrap around Mark's leg. So Mark is getting like pulled towards the elevator shaft. And Jennifer is like, "Mark!" and like kicks the rocket launcher to Mark. and then he shoots the heart of the elevator. And
I'm really disappointed that we didn't get more, like, because there was like voodoo shit in the elevator.
what?
So there's like a point when he's climbing up, and there's like I think the word Shango was written on the wall in blood.
Okay, I did
and
see
like
something written
feathers
in
and
blood,
shit.
but I didn't know what it said, and I forgot to write a note to ask you guys. But then I thought the feathers were just because there's like this scene where they were talking about how they had falcons on top of the roof to like get rid of seagulls or pigeons or whatever, and I was like, so that didn't click for me at all. But I guess.
Yeah, I think it had something to do because when they go to visit the one dude's wife, she had that weird fucking
the altar.
quote unquote voodoo altar.
Oh. Okay. All right. So do we think that Kowalski, the dead partner, like was, I don't know, possessed by the biochip and like did stuff to make it come alive or something? Like
Sure.
I guess I just don't understand.
Why not?
Does that, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like making up. Okay, well, so essentially he shoots the heart and then the FBI agent's like, "Oh, man," and like looks at it. Then Steinberg's body just like drops down. They're like, "Man." So then later Jennifer goes to get Mark from the hospital, and they're still like back and forth, just being dumb to each other. And then finally they make out, and then Aerosmith blasts my freaking ears out, and it's the end.
Love
So-
in an elevator.
Yeah, I had no idea that's what he said until it said,
something else.
Something going down.
yeah, I don't know. He's just, I don't understand
We
screeching.
stand.
But so I guess I don't really understand the power. Like, I don't understand this.
I don't think you need to.
Okay, because I'm like, in the very beginning, it looked like just a normal elevator and like electrical stuff was going on. And so I don't know why I assumed that this just was going to turn out to be somebody was murdered and was like evil and their spirit is possessing the elevator. I guess that would have been too simple. But I
Yeah,
don't
that's
understand like why it could use a beam of light to suck somebody up.
It's a pretty good biochip. That's why.
But then
I honestly, I'm betting there's a scene in the original movie that's something like that, because it almost seems like the original movie has a more like paranormal thing going on with it.
that's the feel that I get too. But
I was gonna watch. I was gonna try watch it today. That I just napped most of the day instead.
see, like,
The next movie took a lot out of me.
oh my god. So for the original, it says a lift technician finds himself drawn into a web of mystery and peril as he investigates the perplexing, deadly accidents occurring in elevators of a new office building. So to me, that's not what this movie was.
Yeah.
This was just like, I don't know, sci-fi elevator wants to kill people and technician is caught up in it. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It was
that's a way
not-
better deal than what they said.
I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. Also, I thought the script was insanely terrible. Like,
Yeah, a lot of the
I don't know.
interaction, like dialogue with people, is not great. But I got to see a
No.
dude get his head slowly popped off by an elevator, so I'm in.
I think
Super
like
sick.
there is a way that they could have done this movie where I think I wouldn't have hated it as much, but it very much was not the way they did it. So, and I guess I just like still don't understand the bio heart part of it. But
I mean, I think this movie.
I don't know why you're trying to understand it.
because I just need something to make sense.
I think this movie like could be done pretty well if it wasn't 2001 when they made it. Because I mean,
Also, if Martin Scorsese directed it.
I'm gonna say this. Give this movie to the director of Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
Have Ron Perlman play the same character
Yeah,
from that
yeah.
movie, but is just running an elevator
Yes.
company.
Right. My other problem is that he is running the elevator. He is elevator company. I just like don't understand. There were just so many people in this movie that I was just like, what? I don't know. Why are there 3 guys who look like they're the detective up there? Like, there was one guy that didn't even like speak. That was like in the office with Edward Herman, and then there was also, I don't know. Oh, I guess Ron Perlman worked for the elevator company. He did in this one. Okay, whatever. I don't know. There was just a lot of white guys yelling at me, so I couldn't really figure it out. But anyways, that was The Shaft.
5 out of 5. Perfect cinema.
Yeah, 6 out of 5.
I think 4.6 out of 10 is pretty generous on this rating here.
I think I actually gave it a 2.
I think that's, yeah.
If it was like it needed just 20 minutes cut out of it for me, and I would have probably been like way into it, but
I'm gonna go the opposite route. It needed like 40 more minutes.
I wanted this movie to just, instead of what it was, just be, it should have just been 10 minutes of what happened, and then an hour and 40 minutes of courtroom drama about the biochip and
they've got like the elevator cart on the witness stand.
Yeah, just
they're interrogating it.
The blown up pieces of the fucking biochip.
They're like, ding once for yes, ding 2 for no.
All right. Do you have any news, Katie?
I do, and I have elevator news.
Oh no.
Oh god.
So the director of American Horror Story, who I don't care for anything that he's directed, honestly, but he's turning the idea of the elevator game into a movie. And we've talked about the elevator game before, which essentially is like obviously totally fake because it appeared on Reddit, like, I don't know, in 2013 or something. But it's like essentially this game from, I want to say maybe it's like Korea, but it's like a game that you play to try and get to like another dimension or some shit. And so yeah, they're gonna make a movie based off of it. And the quote from him is that this movie is going to do what Psycho did for showers, the elevator game will do for lifts. Here's my problem with that. People are already afraid of elevators, and there's also plenty of elevator movies, so I don't really think that that's a necessary thing. I think the idea of turning that into a movie could be pretty cool, but I don't have faith in this director, so who knows.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be good either way, but I'm also not gonna watch it.
Yeah, no. I think if it was like maybe like an international movie, I feel like they could probably make something cool, but not who needs it. But then like connected to that only because of the fact of, you know, the rumors about the elevator game. This is already going to be out by the time that this episode comes out. It comes out on the 10th. But they're releasing a Netflix docuseries called Crime Scene Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, which is going to cover the death of Elisa Lam, which, as I've said before, I'm like obsessed with the Cecil Hotel. So I don't know. I hope it's I did not watch that Ghost Adventures thing about the Cecil Hotel, but I hope that I hope and think it most likely will be more respectful. So check it out.
I'm gonna say I'm not gonna watch that either.
I mean, you don't. It's fine. It's not for you.
Yeah, it's for middle-aged white women.
That's me.
I wonder what fucking weird person in this thing people are gonna be like thirsting over that probably killed somebody.
It's gonna be Richard Ramirez because he stayed at the Cecil Hotel, and all I have to say about that is it's fucking gross. It's gross.
Yeah, everybody's the worst.
Yeah, please don't idolize murderers. Thank you.
Do you guys watch anything good this week?
Miami Vice.
The Michael Mann
Mann strikes again.
I never actually saw that. Is it good?
It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. It's like a lesser Michael Mann film, but still a good time.
What about you, Katie?
I basically have just been trying to catch up on some documentaries. So I did watch that Night Stalker one on Netflix about Richard Ramirez, and it was really good because they, I don't know, I sort of wish that they would stop telling documentaries from the perspective of the cops because, spoiler alert, if you watch this, the cops did absolutely nothing to catch this guy. And it's a lot of, oh, we're so cool. We worked 24/7 to try and figure this shit out. And then it's like, well, cool, but you didn't. Anyways, it's really good. It has some information in it that I've never heard of. And the last episode is one of the best, like, episodes of a documentary I've seen. It's like, it's so good. And then I also watched the HBO documentary about the Heaven's Gate cult. Woof. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I want some of their shoes.
I know.
They have sick kicks.
I think I just like wasn't interested in cults because I don't know why for a really long time, and now I'm just like catching up on some stuff, and it's just
Are
like
you joining a cult?
no.
Is that why you're interested?
I'm interested in starting one. So if anyone wants to give me money for no reason, I would love that.
I look forward to your inevitable turn where you start sleeping with everybody's wives.
Listen, right? This one is like there's a couple other cult documentaries that do this, so this isn't like super unique to this, but just like the amount of footage that they have of like these cult members like videotaping just the most mundane, weird bullshit. It's just like, and then they show like all the interviews of the people, because like, I don't know, this is the one where they thought that aliens were gonna come and save them, and they had weird names like Bo Body and you know, like stuff like that. And it's just like, this one is kind of more focused on like how normal people as well as like people who are, I don't know, it just was like, it was interesting, but I just am like, ugh. I don't know, I think it freaks me out a little bit. Don't join MLMs. That's all I'm gonna say. That's my advice for this week.
Pretty good advice.
Yeah.
I can't remember if did I talk about Snake Out of Compton in the last episode? All right.
Yeah.
I watched a movie from 1979 called Killer Nun. That was not great.
Wow.
I watched It Chapter 2, like revisited that.
Also not great.
It kind of held up better than I thought it was going to on like a rewatch.
I don't know. I really liked it, and I still really like it. So
there's definitely some issues, but I watched like a bunch of like the behind the scenes stuff, and it was kind of interesting to see like how they did, like how Bill Skarsgård did like a lot of like the acting through like motion capture shit that kind of made some of the CGI feel less terrible to me, especially like the shit at the end. But it is kind of funny. They show a scene where like one of the scenes where they're in like the cistern or whatever, and like, you know, giant spider crab Pennywise is like chasing them, and it's like all of the actors running and somebody chasing them with a giant Pennywise sign, and then Bill Skarsgård like screaming like the dialogue over like a god mic in this massive like studio is pretty fucking funny. I've been trying to work my way through that Friday the 13th box set, so I watched part 3 and the final chapter, and they both hold up.
Yeah, both of them rule.
Still on board with Jason slowly sliding down a machete through his head.
I don't know if I've seen either.
It's the one. Final chapter is Corey Feldman.
I don't think I've seen it. I think all I've seen is
You haven't seen Crispin Glover's perfect dance moves?
Oh,
Sick.
I've seen that. I've seen the clip of it, but no, I don't think I've seen the actual movie.
Well, you should. That's good. All right, shout outs. Katie, you go.
I haven't really been doing anything. I'm gonna shout out a podcast called Let's Not Meet. That is essentially just someone reading like real life horror stories. And it's a terrible idea because it's like literally mostly about like stalkers and home invasions and whatnot, which is very scary, but for some reason I can't stop listening to it. So if you like that kind of thing, check out that podcast.
What about you, Kit?
Prince of Darkness. I don't know. I watched it last night.
Oh, yeah.
It still rules.
It's so good.
Go watch some Satan goo.
The best theme song.
Yes, 100%.
I'm gonna say the album "A Silent Intercom" by Trophy Hunt, which is on Bandcamp. So you should have bought it last Friday on Bandcamp Day.
Oops.
Way to go, people!
You goofed.
All right. Next week, we unfortunately watched Killer Sofa.
Wow.
I have qualms.
Same. Katie's Good Buck. I loved it.
Well, I'd rather watch it than The Shaft again, that's for sure.
Unbelievable. But you can watch that for free on Tubi. Don't spend money
Or
on
Amazon Prime.
Oh, well, I watched it on Tubi because I wanted commercials, so...
You love commercials.
Yeah. Alright, you can subscribe to our Patreon and get bonus episodes and the chance to pick a bonus episode theme. Our current one right now is... The fuck did we just... Sentient Vehicles is what we just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird timing for all the other sentient things.
That's probably what... I
there.
forget what made us pick all this shit, but that's probably what it was. But that is patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast. You could get merch at storefrontier.com/IHopeYouSuffer. Leave us ratings and reviews. Tell us your best rollerblading story.
Or your best falling down an elevator shaft story.
Yeah, tell us a story about you getting your head popped off in an elevator. If that's ever happened to you. Because I definitely want to hear that. Follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. Listen to other podcasts named K Movie Club. Watch The Shaft. And Shaft. And whatever the other 20 movies that popped up when I tried to look up The Shaft.
Oh my god, I almost couldn't find it.
Yeah, I don't know. Watch Killer Sofa or don't. Who cares? It's not great. Spoilers. Alright. I hope you suffer, but why? Guerrilla Radio.